guys? It is me, SearingSorrow, and this is a special type of fanfiction reading. And it's not, the fanfiction I'm reading, it's not just any random fanfic that I just pulled out of my favorites or whatever. Oh no, this is actually one of the fanfics I have actually written on fanfiction.net. Anyway, so this one is called For the Better, and I will go ahead and read to you the summary. After firing James Ellsworth, SmackDown General Manager Paige takes the matter in her own hands to get him out. So basically, this is kind of like an adaptation of that SmackDown Live episode when James Ellsworth gets fired and then Paige just, she tries to throw him out. Oh boy. I just wrote an adaptation for that segment. And got some hilarious results out of it. Probably borderline sounded like something out of an abridged story or something. Maybe. I've been reading way too many abridged stories. Too many chapters of them, should I say. Maybe even reading some multiple times because they're that funny. Alright, let's get to it. There are 2 chapters to this. However, I did not actually name them. Alright. Authors know. Alright, it's me again. I know my stories that I've been posting lately have been more somber. But I am proudly presenting this story, a more humorous one. And, this was actually posted this was originally posted back in August. So at the time, I did have more, serious, one-shots that I was doing. Fanfics, all that stuff, one-shot, two-shot, shorter stories. And then I thought, you know what? This one would be fun to read in that anyway. But for the purpose of this particular fanfiction reading, I decided for it to be a more humorous one, just because it'll be kind of funny. And that's where this one came in. Well, I had this one and another one called Hangover Mode, which was about the fellas. I know, very unlikely story I would write. But I decided For the Better would be the best contendership because, I don't know, just for some reason, I don't know why. It's just funny. Let's get to it. This is based from the episode of SmackDown where Paige fires Ellsworth, and yeah, I already mentioned that earlier. It was hilarious. I do have a part 2 in the works right now, and hope you guys enjoy this one. And that's May Recalmed in Agony, even though... Yeah, there's a link on my channel. But I mean, at that time, I was having the second chapter in the works, but it's already ready and said and done, so here we go. Here we go, y'all. SmackDown General Manager Paige was shaking her head over James Ellsworth's actions. James Ellsworth's actions that Ronda kept replaying in her head while she stood in the middle of the ring, her body facing him. She knew that James was nothing but trouble, even when she last wrestled, despite being on Raw at the time. Yep, that was being before she was forced to retire pretty much because of the neck injuries, because neck injuries are a curse. I mean, come on. Stone Cold had a neck injury. Edge had a neck injury. And then, Daniel Bryan had a neck injury. And then, Nikki Bella had a neck injury, and then Paige had a neck injury, and now the most recent case has, Tyson Kidd actually had a neck injury, probably before Nikki Bella. And then the most recent case of a neck injury happening to, is, Jason Jordan. Alrighty. James had been playing very sneaky games to allow someone to win, particularly Carmella. Yeah, we've seen that stuff. I mean, of course, and he said it to the guys as well. Some of the guys, but, yeah, we get that. He had been costing others, including Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, Becky, and most recently Asuka. Paige then looked up at James, her body full of confidence, but her expression looked more agonized. James's actions had sickened her enough to the point beyond just banning him from ringside. The fact that this was that not much serious action was taken, when Daniel Bryan was GM, just. And that's another argument to why people would find Paige being possibly the best GM. That right now in SmackDown, she's probably like the best SmackDown GM. And all that. She knew that at this time, she was not going to let his actions slide any longer. She had seen Daniel Bryan and Shane seem more likely to either let it slide or not take much serious action. As I was saying earlier. Okay. The SmackDown GM wasn't going to do that this time. She was going to take a completely different approach to deal with him, even if it meant nearly hurting her neck again to get him out. Yes. Oh, imagine that. She just glared at him harder than anyone else had, let alone an authority figure, for a few seconds. After that, she was ready to say the 4 words that most people would take much relief in. And yeah, I kind of did this on my own version and sort of stuff. What the hell? Jason. That was not meant to happen, but alright. James Ellsworth, she began, confidence ringing in her voice. You're fired! And yeah, of course I have to do voices. And then Paige is British, so of course it makes sense. A chorus of cheers exploded throughout the arena, and it wasn't hard to see why, besides the obvious. Paige could only laugh at James's shocked expression as he looked around in utter disbelief. Paige didn't drop her amused expression, mostly over exactly what she said, but she was amused by James's reaction as well. Maybe. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people were amused and just got relieved that James Ellsworth would then be fired. We all know he was a nuisance. Okay. Elsewhere that wasn't the arena, someone, or a few, or several people, cheered or laughed at hearing Paige's words. It was such a relief to them that James Ellsworth would no longer cause any trouble to the wrestlers.
No, 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 no. Hey, hey, goodbye, James Ellsworth.
They say,
No, 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 no. Hey, hey, goodbye, James Ellsworth.
the result brought several snickers from mothers who had heard the singing. Some, though, were trying their hardest to hold back at least the volume of their laughter, likely because their family members decided to go to sleep. For those who probably don't watch wrestling. Is what I'm assuming. Still, the whole thing was amusing to the fans watching at home or a sports bar. It probably at one point had a fan guffawing, "Goodbye, Ellsworth, you son of a snitch!" and more laughter would follow. Somebody once called him Franklin the Turtle. It was funny.
No, 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 no. Hey, hey, goodbye, James Ellsworth.
Sang the crowd in the arena.
No, 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 James Ellsworth.
Several snickers echoed throughout the arena as Paige pushed James Ellsworth to motion him out of the ring. She followed behind him. She tried hard not to laugh along with the crowd, but to her, it was more than satisfying to see Ellsworth get exactly what he deserved for being the snake he was. Exactly. I'm sorry. Goodbye, Franklin the Turtle! Guffawed a fan that wasn't far from Paige before he cackled. Several fans around him cackled along with him, and some having a hard time to stop laughing. Paige heard the comment and she quietly chuckled to herself. She continued to motion James out of the arena just where more comments erupted loud enough for everyone to hear. Goodbye, chinless freak! What the hell's an Ellsworth? Oh yeah, that chinless dude. That's Franklin the Turtle. Dude, damn, what a change. I feel old. That's an upgrade for Franklin. A lot of those I just made up, okay? Please forgive me. The laps continued as they watched the scene in front of them unfold. Seeing Paige escort James out of the arena had been sheer comedy and what made the scene more enjoyable. At that point, no one knew what would happen next. She's gonna kick him out. And I mean, literally. Not just, saying it to just, make sure he's out of there. I mean, literally kick him out. You guys probably saw the segment if you haven't watched. But if you haven't watched it, I recommend go watching it first. I probably should have said this in the beginning, but if you haven't seen the segment before reading the story, I suggest watching that. Otherwise, you're probably be thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Because, like I said, I did say this is an adaptation, sort of. Anyway, Paige and James Ellsworth had just made it backstage in a mission for the British woman to kick the chinless man out of the arena before she fired him. After she fired him, excuse me. Oh, jeez. Botcharoo City. Isn't that fun? Okay, and here, like I said, this is chapter 2. The chuckles continued as the audience watched this all happen. They were beyond belief that this man would no longer stand around as an idiot. If anyone could stand up at all, the amount of people would be unsurprisingly null. Well, saying that no one could stand him was an understatement. And yes, that's pretty true. A lot of people just, could not stand his annoying nuisance butt. Paige, who was smiling out of pure amusement, once again pushed James forward. She had been enjoying her actions to him more than anyone else had. At least that was what the author assumed, judging by the British woman's expression. Yeah. As the author just, as the author is writing this and then laughing. Because that's what I've been doing, low-key. Writing this and then laughing to myself because it's hilarious. Anyway, Paige continued to shove him every 15 seconds to get him on the move out of the arena. She was anxious to get to the door so that she could deliver her big move to the chinless wrestler. They passed by a few producers backstage who guffawed at the sight of the raven-haired British GM shoving James forward as she followed close in pursuit. It had been nothing but amusing for the producers. After that, Paige and James passed by Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Naomi, and Asuka. The four women didn't hold back their giggles. It was something beyond hilarious for them to imagine James being kicked out in the fashion that the young British woman was putting him through. For them, it was like karma coming for James after he repeatedly tried to cost them a lot of their matches, let alone title wins. And that's pretty true, actually. For Paige, it wasn't just her hands that were getting dirty on this chinless man. Most times, since her days as SmackDown general manager, Paige had taken to wearing heels or anything more suitable for such a job. And this little part is kind of where I'm made up. I know she didn't actually wear her Doc Martens, but who cares? You always gotta add little twists in that just to make it, more interesting. Take a more interesting twist to it. That would make it way cooler. However, today was different. Even though she couldn't wrestle due to her neck injury, she had brought a familiar a pair of familiar friends that she had used several times before. It was her infamous Doc Martens. I know it's actually called Dr. Martens, but she would call them Doc Martens, so in a way I'm kind of putting it in her perspective for most of the story, but you get one. You get the gist. Why, you ask? It's because if Paige was planning on getting her feet dirty, it was best not to get her feet or toes hurt when shoving, let's call him Franklin the Turtle, in a hard manner. Franklin the Turtle, I can't. Yes, people have called him that, and that's the funniest I've heard. She didn't need to use her neck to do such a task. At least for the most part, she probably didn't need to. After about half a mile down the hall backstage, Paige and James made it to the double doors. The SmackDown GM had to put herself in best effort to keep the sneaky idiot out. Get out! She shouted as she gave James a hard shove with her boot. James fell from the impact of Paige's boot, hard enough for him to open the doors in front of him. Oh, geez, that's still funny. He had seen those boots on her when she wrestled on TV, but being a victim by her boot had been nothing but a damn brutal experience. And let's just put it like that. That's just what I do. Anyway, he gasped at the pain, somehow forgetting that the SmackDown general manager was once a fierce fighter in the women's division. Even though she couldn't wrestle fully, she was damn ruthless, and it clearly showed here. If anyone passing the two saw this, they would cackle at such a beautiful sight. It was like getting rid of a rat that would sneak along the halls and would cause so much trouble. I know, right? Paige was the right person to rid of a rat. Not Shane McMahon, not even Daniel Bryan. Paige was. Paige, though, wasn't finished with her method of getting Ellsworth out of the arena. She was going to make herself clearer than before. And stay out of here! She yelled, pointing her finger at him as to make sure he paid enough attention to her words. Just for good measure, Paige gave him yet another swift shove to James with her boot, this time on his buttocks. Everyone watching cackled at the young general manager's action, but Paige wasn't regretting her actions. A few security guards walked up to the British authority figure, then nodded to her, signaling they would finish up the job for her while she went back to her duties. She nodded back at them with a smirk on her face, but her posture seemingly laid back. I feel like why in some of those moments she low-key reminded me of Doug, who ends up being like the casual dude who just looks like he'd just be shady, but also silently judging you from a distance. Or something. I don't know why. I get that vibe out of him. But this is kind of what she reminds me of when it's like I imagine her doing that. She turned to leave to head back to her office, feeling beyond proud of herself for taking out someone who was being infuriatingly annoying. Even if Asuka had ultimately beaten him before, Paige still had the feeling that it wasn't enough to truly rid of James once and for all. Carmella had been his only purpose, and Paige knew she wasn't tolerating it much longer. Firing him and forcing him out was the way to get the job done. Paige stopped in her tracks and looked up at the ceiling, wondering if the fellow British general managers Drake Maverick and William Regal were amused by her actions. Most people would indeed assume that Paige was the best general manager just because she's Paige. That was far from true. To the author, it was the power of the British to make better decisions than the current Raw general manager, but that's another story. Okay, yeah, I wrote this at the time when Kurt Angle was the general manager, and before Drake Maverick ended up joining. Yes, Authors of Pain, even though they should have just brought back Paul Ellering. What do they do to him? What the heck did they do to him? I'm salty at that. Somewhere where they were, and yes, the author is too lazy to name these places, Drake Maverick and William Regal were watching the whole ordeal of Paige's actions to James Ellsworth. William chuckled and Drake burst into laughter. For the NXT General Manager and the 205 General Manager, it had been such comedy to watch their fellow Brit give the chinless person exactly what he deserved. Even after it happened, the two men continued laughing, unable to get the image of Paige's actions out of their heads. I know. I should have warned y'all this earlier, too. That, yeah, there's pieces in the story to where it's based on opinions in some ways. After about 30 seconds, Paige looked forward, then continued down the hall again. She was still quietly chuckling to herself at her own actions, and she was positive that it received good reception. Luckily for her, it did. "Thank you, Paige!" chanted the crowd. Even though she was backstage, the chanting was audible enough for her to hear. At that time, she couldn't hold back the giggles she let out in response to the crowd. Paige was just doing what a smart general manager would do, and she loved every bit of it. However, the crowd decided it needed more than a chant to show their relief.
No, 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 no. Hey, hey, goodbye, James Ellsworth.
Oh my god, that was awesome! that is all for, for the better. Yeah, that was just a really, really funny story. So anyway, that was all for the, me reading my own fanfiction for this, special, because 22 years old. Crazy, I know, right? And I know probably later on, I know I will end up posting it later, that the day, but there will be a gameplay video. Keep an eye out for it. But anyway, I will catch you guys in another fanfiction reading. Most likely a bad fanfiction reading. Bye, guys! Bye, guys!
No, 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 no. Hey, hey, goodbye, James Ellsworth. No, 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 no. Hey, hey, goodbye, James Ellsworth.